Hello everyone and welcome back to CafUEL. Today we're shooting our last episode. We have mixed feelings actually. We had a great experience with our wonderful guests, with each other, and as our final project, it's kind of our final project we can have since it's our final year. But yeah, we're happy to be here presenting you our last episode. So today we will be having two exciting guests, Valentina and Julia, because both of them are our own lecturers. So we're kind of excited to present them.
Yeah, for like during the last 3 years of our study, we've been meeting them a lot.
Yeah.
And for us, all of us do have personal connections. So for my episode that I hosted it myself. I will welcome Valentina. She's our program leader for BA Media and Communication.
And I will be hosting Julia, who would be introducing herself in a very special way. So please make sure to watch our episode to get to know more details about both of their programs and also get to know them more.
Brilliant.
Wonderful.
See you later.
Hello everyone and welcome back to CafUEL, the first academic podcast where you can directly meet with your academics, professors and module leaders, get to know directly from them and get to know more about your program. Today, it's a special episode because we do have Dr. Julia Dane with us, Senior Lecturer of BA Advertising and Module Leader of the same program. She is one of my module leaders as well. That's why you can see how excited I am. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation, Julia, and thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Wonderful. So first question we would like to ask you is, can you please introduce yourself in a way you have never done before?
Ooh. That's tricky. In that case, yeah, I am Dr. Julia Dane, academic spice. How about that?
Wonderful. Yeah, sounds very intriguing.
A legacy from my PhD days at Goldsmith when I worked with several women. We were all conducting research, post-feminist research,
Wow.
And ended up writing about the Spice Girls, so we became the academic spices.
Wonderful. And also to mention, we have studied a lot about Spice Girls, and trust me, it gets so interesting when Julia conducts it. So if you are one of the advertising, media communication or media students, you will definitely get to know more about Spice Girls, so just bear that in mind. We would like to know more about your research interest, so can you just tell us more about what is your current research?
Currently, I'm not exceptionally research active in terms of publications, but I have been researching really around the shift to social media from advertising and onto different platforms.
Wow.
But just to talk a little bit about the Spice Girls, a little bit more,
Yeah.
that comes from my own PhD, my postgraduate research, and I was recently employed by the Channel 4 documentary around
Wow.
Girl Power. They invited me in to talk to them about my research, which was very exciting.
Yeah,
I
it
enjoyed
sounds
that very much. I don't know if anyone saw that recent documentary on Channel 4.
wonderful. Oh, that's amazing. Wonderful. Make sure you watch the documentary at least.
And it's interesting because that's research from nearly 20 years ago, but they
Wow.
picked up on it. I published something called Girls Rule the World around,
Wow.
which is about Spice Girls, and they read it and got in touch with me 20 years later to talk to
This
me
is
about it.
wonderful. This is wonderful. It's very interesting, at least. Yeah, perfect. With that in mind, would you be able to just walk us through the program and let us know more about it and how do you conduct it?
The advertising programme is part of the media cluster, so we share quite a lot of modules which are designed to give the students broader skills. So for example, they're in production modules with media production, media and communication students.
Yeah.
So it's in those kind of areas that they pick up the production skills, the editing skills, etc. to bring towards advertising. The advertising specific modules, we teach about representation and ways to analyse advertising to see how messages are communicated to an audience. I deal a lot, obviously, feminist representation, representation around race and identity. We're very interested in setting out a kind of foundational understanding of media communications and the significance of that for advertising, talking to consumers. I've just come out this morning of the branded content module, where the first years
I do remember.
Yes. Content.
Yes.
Yours.
Yes, I do very well.
So we're just at that stage. We're 2 weeks away from them pitching their ideas.
Wow.
So branded content, of course, is not a traditional advert. It's the way that advertising and marketing today is trying to speak to consumers. not in that kind of interruptive form, which people are a little bit resistant to, but by attaching to content by influencers or indeed everyday people who are posting. And that's a way to kind of negate that advertising message and attach their values to what they see as more authentic values.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, I do remember, you just refreshed my memory all about these wonderful things that we actually learned in our first years. With that in mind as well, would you be able to give us one of the case studies that students would get to know more about through the course? I do remember that we had so many. We did have, for example, Free Britney movement. We did have the Beyonce through the post-feminism program. We did have that. BTS as well, all the actuality and all the digital activism and etc. So what would be the one case of study would you give students just to give them an idea about what they would be learning?
Oh, I mean, you mentioned BTS, which is my new obsession.
Yes.
And has taken over the Spice Girls, which I do talk about a lot. But I do that because I think they are a really good case study for how advertising works today. I mean, for me, everything's a brand, right? Everything is in the market, and so graduates are going to be brands.
Yes, that's right.
We've been teaching you how to self-brand and to pitch yourselves. So for me, BTS just have really taken marketing concepts and celebrity to a whole new level. Because they create, first of all, there's a sense of authenticity around them, I think, and that comes across from the platforms that they post on and the way they communicate with their fans.
Yeah, indeed.
And because of their huge popularity, brands want to attach to them. So I teach a module called Celebrity and Influencer Marketing.
Yes, we had it last year. Yes.
So obviously celebrities are brands, they have brand values, and brands then want to attach to them by association. So you can see some major brands have attached to BTS because they're hugely successful and they have a wide reach.
Yeah, indeed, everywhere around the world.
Indeed, I've got a dissertation student who is looking at why they're so successful.
Wow.
They are so successful.
We could see that, definitely.
But in terms of, if you're interested in marketing and advertising and media cultures, which of course, are blurring today across platforms and digital media and social media, looking at what BTS do, I think would be
indeed, wonderful. Perfect. And throughout the program, what are more of the topics that you can relate to, for example, these movies? So we did have, for example, race, culture, gender. So what are these topics that you can relate to the program?
We look very much at the start when people arrive in media cultures around identity and representation. So that would be around race, gender, bodies, class, and those kind of markers of identity and the way that it's represented. So that's very key when you first start to think about that, which is how we then end up looking at case studies around BTS and Asian masculinity or Beyonce and black feminism as a way into those kind of topics. It's not that we're just studying Beyonce.
True.
We look at Beyonce as a brand, and the brands that attach to and the brands that she creates and the messages that she communicates. So it's a way into those questions around identity and representation. And of course that's important for advertising because it has to communicate. In particular, advertising is communicating through visual.
Yeah, it is a very practical program as well. So connecting all these topics give an idea to what you would be having in the future, how you would find the industry, etc., whom you would meet, etc. So I believe students would definitely enjoy having that program and conducting it with you as well.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
It's a lot of fun. We start off getting students to analyse adverts, and then gradually they'll be making their own adverts.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole purpose of it, anyways.
So yes, by the second year, people were making. So somebody this year, I can't remember what people did in celebrity last year, but someone did something around black treatments for black hair, made their own content. It was fantastic. What else? We're seeing gym things that people sell. Or somebody did.
Makeup, etc.
Makeup tutorials. Someone this year did some Insta stories for an author to publish and created a website.
That's amazing.
So it's about kind of learning the foundations around communication, creating relationships. We talk a lot about authenticity through the advertising modules.
the keyword, etc. Definitely, it's the keyword. Wonderful. Before we actually finish up with our podcast, what would be the one piece of advice you would give any prospective students willing to come to UEL?
I would say follow your passion.
Yeah, definitely. It's the best thing you can do, anyways.
It's 3 years of study. It's got to be something that you're interested in and passionate about, even if you don't know what career you want at the end of it, because obviously you will learn all sorts of different ways to progress your own goals, and you might change your ambition halfway through.
Yeah.
But come with passion for your subject. That would be my advice.
Definitely. Best advice you can ever get. Thank you so much, Julia, for your time. Thank you for the valuable information you gave our students. If you're interested in advertising, media, or, for example, media production, make sure you join that program. You will be having Julia's support and many other colleagues' support as well. And let us know if you need any questions or if you have anything to ask. Thank you so much again.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to CafUEL, where we have coffee chat with UEL Academics. And at the end of this podcast, we want you, aka prospective students, can have better insights into the course, what you'll be studying, or just simply who you'll be working with. And today we welcome Valentina, our senior lecturer, aka our program leader for BA Media and Communication. I've been knowing her for 4 years now, and it's the first time I do an interview with her. So very lovely to see you today, Valentina.
Thank you for inviting me.
No worries. Just before jumping straight to the podcast, we'll give you a bit of time to introduce yourself. But can you introduce yourself in the way that you normally don't?
Okay, that's a very good question. I have different professional profiles.
Oh, do you? Yeah, of course.
So, my name is Valentina Signorelli. I have a title which is doctor because I have a PhD.
Yeah.
When people want to call me by my title. From my accent, you can hear that I'm Italian. I probably don't have to say it because people can spot the accent. And I don't like definitions, so I don't know how to properly introduce myself. But as you mentioned, I've been working at UEL for 3.5 years now. I've been working as a program leader for the BA Media and Communication, and I'm also a senior lecturer, which is the boring title for academics, depending on the post they're covering for.
But like, what is your, because like personally, I know you have very interesting industry experience. Can you elaborate that a bit for every audience to know?
So I'm part of that generation of Italians who was in their late teens, early 20s when the 2009 economic crash hit globally. So my family was in the media industry. So I was a student at the University of Rome. I studied literature, music, and performing arts. That was my first field of study. I knew that I wanted to write. I wanted to be a writer, but I had no previous examples or experiences. And I also liked the whole academic side. So at some point, I moved to the UK in 2013 to complete a PhD in film from the University of Westminster. And when I was doing my PhD without a scholarship, so I had to work at the same time.
I can feel that pain. I can feel that pain deeply.
Same. Also when I was doing my BA and my MA, no scholarships at all. And so I decided to open a production studio with one of my classmates and another business partner. So it's me and my 2 business partners. And the company is named Daytona. We specialize in transmedia productions. So just to give an example, one of our projects that was then presented at the Venice Film Festival, it was like a short film, but we also had the VR experience and the social media campaign. And then when the pandemic hit a couple of years ago, we decided to formally launch an advertising division named Dogodot because we saw an increase, whatever.
Demand,
made a larger demand of commercials. So as commercials are normally paid in advance, they call you when they already have the budget to commission a commercial. We decided to officially launch our advertising division that is named Dogodot. And so I have this hybrid background in both the academia and the professional, let's say, industry.
Okay, that's very interesting. But just FYI, Valentina just won an award herself for a documentary, right?
Yeah, we won a few for this documentary that I filmed over lockdown. So basically, it's actually a very small project called The Day I Became a British Citizen. It was during the lockdown, and I had been in the UK for enough time to apply for citizenship. You know, as a EU citizen, I was particularly hit by the whole Brexit process, and so I decided to document my so-called naturalization process. And then the pandemic happened. It was much more complicated, but then I realized that I am kind of a privileged migrant because I'm white, because I have a PhD, because I can speak English, I have enough technological education to being able to use, digital technologies, but that can be said, the same cannot be said for the other people around the world, and specifically in the UK, who are struggling, who need to pay tax here, but then they are invisible, or they're out of employment for any reason. So I decided to film a documentary including the voices of those who couldn't get a citizenship application approved. And that's how the project started. We filmed remotely. It was during lockdown, and then we won a few awards, including the London Independent Film Awards for Best Short Doc. It was nice. It was a very low budget project about a big topic, so I'm very happy about that.
That's amazing. That's super amazing. And then with your industry experience and with your academic experience in line with each other, I just want to what in that will kind of contribute to your current research interests?
Yes. So once again, I think it's a generational aspect, because when I was in my late teens, so I'm 32, so I was born in 1989. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, that we could, personally, my generation could see the shift within an analogic world into a digital world. So when Facebook launched or became a thing popularly when I was 20 years old, so I was in my second years of studies. And so I was always attracted to the whole technological shift, because it was a kind of a democratic revolution for those who didn't have a background in the film industry, for example, which was something I was interested in. But suddenly you could just download a software to edit from home. So that was a big thing. And same for writing and producing and filming, of course, with still some budget. That it looked a lot when I was in my 20s, but actually was considerable lower. So my background is in transmedia practices and digital practices in general, meaning how digital technologies have been changing the way we think, write, shoot, produce, post-produce, distribute, and consume media content in general. So I also worked in a news agency when I was doing my placements and unpaid internships when I was a student. I worked for a radio company. I set up my own film studio because no one wanted to hire us. So I know the feeling when students tell me, it's very hard. I know, I had to launch my own companies because
of that,
we couldn't have enough money. So we thought, okay, if let's say our future might be underpaid, then I should be underpaid for myself, and I will start my own studios. But so going back to your original question, so my background and my interest is in transmedia and in digital technologies, and I think that I ended up teaching not only some specific skills such as writing and producing, but also how all these areas are actually interdependent, and they do gravitate around the impact that technology and digital technologies have on our everyday life. I don't know if I'm successful, you can tell me that as a student, but that's how my background informs my current teaching and practice.
I mean, personally, I can tell that. It's been, because I am the person who I was in the period where you came in and then the former course leader kind of retired. So we can.
Yeah, I don't know. I was hired after another person left. So.
Yeah, so I can see clearly that change in the curriculum that we received, especially in my third year, and I took a gap year, so I can actually see that shift in the way that we study media and etc. But for someone who doesn't have the same experience as I did, can you walk us through the course, and kind of like how's your background influence the course that you're working on?
Yes, so basically BA Media and Communication is one of the most popular courses among the many media courses that UEL offers. So we are actually running that course in collaboration or together with the BA Media Production and Advertising, and especially in the first year of studies, because most of the modules are shared. So we have narrative modules, documentary modules, convergent media industries modules, and so on. Because we try to show students that through digital technologies, and everything is produced and consumed digitally nowadays, especially for younger generations, you can do everything with a smartphone and watch everything with the smartphone, right? Or most of the media content that it's being circulated. So it's through digital technologies that all the areas that up until 15, 20 years ago were separate, now they're like working together. And when you start working in your professional life, you are clearly going to see it, that the people who have a background in filming and editing might be filming a documentary one day, or a news report another day, or a film another day, and editors work on such a variety of content, then that's why we share most of the modules at the beginning. We try as a team, not just myself, to keep a focus on the areas of interest that the students have, which may be social media, PR, advertising, graphic design, or news, or film. We have such a variety of interests from the students themselves. And we try to empower them by choosing the type of case study they want to do for their assessment, either it be an essay, or a podcast, or a short film, or a short documentary, or a TikTok campaign, for example, I'm doing with my first years right now. So the more you progress with your studies, so at the end of the first year, if you, let's say you have enrolled for media and communication, and you think that you want to move to advertising, for example, you can do it. So you have those 12 months of studies where you can actually complete the modules, and then you can move to another course if you think that during those 12 months you have gained more interest for another discipline. But then the more you continue, the more it becomes you specialize in one of the areas, which in the case of media and communication might range with, news or PR, or again, film, and so on. And the third year, students have the opportunity to choose their major project, which is the graduation project, and they can do a, let's say, conceptual, all theory dissertation, written dissertation, or a practice-based project, which might be, once again, a film, an advertising campaign, a photographic project. We have many students in photography too. So yes, that's what the course about. It's 3 modules per term. Each module is 20 credit. So we would normally be, I would say, no less than 2 days per week on campus, maximum 3 days a week. So it could be 3 half days, or 1 full day and 2 half days for both terms. And then you have an independent research or production week in between, so among those 12 weeks, so you have the chance to start working on your practice-based projects or your drafts, and you can have tutorials with your module leaders. And then term 2, it's the same, so 3 modules in term 2, and then you submit your work, and then you receive feedback. So I don't know if it makes sense. I think
it makes sense, yeah.
Has a different approach to it. But in essence, I guess the main challenge of media and communication as a broad field of studies, that digital technologies keep on changing the way we perceive and intend communication. And so whoever is interested in learning how communication is essential at any level in society, from marketing to negotiations, and politics to or entrepreneurship, then I would say join our course. Then if you're more interested in other aspects, you have plenty of videos that you are filming with course leaders to see what's best for them. But chances are that I would meet most of the students in media, because I, on the one hand, lead on this course. We're teaching with media production and advertising. We have collaborations with journalism. We have collaborations with animation and games. So, I mean, you will see me at some point.
So like, because like, you actually answered this question already, but I want to ask, like, what is that one thing you want to give for students before they join UEL or thinking of joining UEL? What is that one piece of advice you want to give?
You are not stupid. Advice that I would give to many students. Being positively ignorant in relation to something is not a sign of stupidity. Meaning, if you don't know about things, but you're attracted to a specific topic, or you're watching something or doing something completely new for you, and you think maybe you like this area, but you feel that you are not prepared, or maybe you didn't have an example in your family or in your community. It doesn't mean you're stupid. Stupidity is an old concept, and because intelligence has so many different shades. We're not talking about just logical intelligence right now. We're talking about physical intelligence, emotional intelligence, sexual intelligence, sports intelligence, whatever. So everyone has their own intelligence in some form, and thinking that university is only for intelligent and clever people, and maybe you don't feel that way because you may be the first to go to university in your family. That's a first for many students here. Just go for it. Don't think about the things that put you under pressure or that stress you out or that create a lot of anxiety. Anxiety and stress are unfortunately a part of life, and most of the time a normal reaction to new situations. And so just go for it. You can do it, and you will learn at the end of the process. You would look back at your whole process, and you would have learned many things anyway. Not just in terms of passing a module, but also in terms of the people that you're going to meet, the experiences that you're going to do, the challenges that you will be facing and you will be overcoming without even thinking, okay, yeah, I actually could do it. Yeah, so the piece of advice that I would give to new students, and I hopefully give every day to my students, is that just go for it. You can do it, and there's nothing wrong in making mistakes or having to retake a module or whatever. It happens, it's life, and just don't underestimate your abilities to learn things, because learning is like training for a run. Some people are naturally more
totally
run
agree,
faster, but it doesn't mean that we can train, and that's it. So it's a long answer to
It's fine.
a simple question.
I actually really align to it as someone who come from like across the globe, aka Vietnam to the UK. I still recall, like, I have a lot of challenges during my first year, but then I made it here today. So it's a good thing. It's a good advice that I think every student.
And you're graduating anyway.
Yeah, soon.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I'm quite sure.
Anyway, that's the end of the podcast already. Thank you, Valentina, for joining us today. We heard a lot of good stuff, interesting stuff, and also very good advice at the end. And I hope you have the courage and also have the interest to apply for BA Media Communication at UEL.
Thank you. For any comments or complaints, please email Signorelli at uel.ac.uk. See you next year.
You got the contact. See ya.